in past administration, we have more in one administration. So the climate is very good, number one. Number two is, obviously, as a political appointee or non-career appointee, as we call them, you have to have certain credentials. You have to demonstrate a commitment and actually believe in the philosophy that this administration is committed to.
Well, you have to be a very committed member of a party. And
it helps.
It helps.
Yeah.
I know that you've been a staunch Republican for many, many years, and that's commendable. Being a Democrat, I can still say that. How does someone make a commitment? At what point did you decide that you were going to be politically active and participate in party politics?
Well, when I was young, somebody told me the story. Maybe it's true, I don't know. The saying goes that if you're young, if you're not Democrat, you have no heart. When you get older, if you're not Republican, you have no head. So as I got older, but seriously speaking, I have always been very interested in Chinese outside China, how they live, how they work. And I read a lot about them. And I noticed that in Southeast Asia, ethnic Chinese have been persecuted, have been mistreated. And one of the reasons is because they don't get involved in politics. They were too busy making money. So since I came to this country, I have always
Which was
been,
when? How old
I came
were you?
to United States of America in 1962.
Okay.
So that's almost 40 years ago. Well, come this past September, it's almost 40 years.
I've got you beat.
I know, huh? But you came here when you were probably 1 year old.
Almost. Okay.
But during the last almost 40 years, I think we see more and more Asian Americans getting involved in politics, which is good.
We certainly do.
Yeah, I came here before the Civil Rights Act was passed, and I see the big difference.
So when you came over, you pretty much immediately felt this need to be a part of what makes this country what it is, and you got really pretty much involved.
Yes, I have always felt that we need to be involved politically. I came from Hong Kong, where I grew up, where we were not allowed to vote. There was no political process in Hong Kong when I was living there. So when I came to America and discovered all these political rights, I was very excited, very fascinated, and I became very involved. I did not really choose a political party until almost 20 years ago.
And what does involvement mean? Does it mean, you donated money? What does it mean in those initial stages when someone makes a commitment?
Well, when I was in college, that was during the Vietnam War, there was a fellow who ran for president called Barry Goldwater, and he really got me excited about his view on Vietnam War, his view on how this country should be, managed. So I became interested in the Republican Party politics, and I kind of kept that interest up. And when President Reagan became president, with the Reagan Revolution, I really got totally stirred up, and I decided to join the revolution and became a committed member of the Republican Party since.
That's great. Now, I know that many of your professional years have been spent with the public sector, but I also know that you spent a number of years in the private sector.
That's correct.
Tell us what you did there.
Well, I had a variety of jobs. I had been with accounting firms, one of which is now part of KPMG, Pete Marwick. I was an auditor. I was also a hospital auditor. That's where I met my wife, who's a nurse. One of the very important jobs of hospital auditors, check out the nurses. And so that's where I met my wife. I also had served as the director of accounting for Time Life Books. I was the treasurer of U.S. News and World Report. So I had a variety of jobs. One thing consistent about me is every 3 or 4 years, I got bored and I want to do something different.
Well, that kind of goes into administrations, right?
That's correct. That's correct. It fits into the cycle.
So what do you see as a difference between the private and the public sector? Whether you're the CFO of, a major corporation or for government?
Two main differences, I think, on the technical side. As a top financial officer of a corporation, I have to worry about cash flow. And most decisions are tax-driven. How much money can I save on tax? As you well can appreciate.
In this climate, yes.
That's correct, especially in this climate. And how to do it correctly. In a public sector, I have to be more concerned about regulations and compliance. Because obviously, I don't have to worry about not being able to meet payroll. And at the same time, government, does not have to worry about tax consideration is not a part of the equation.
Right, that is a big difference.
Right.
Let's talk about Sam Mock, the community volunteer, because I know that there are a number of things that you're involved with. In particular, your involvement with Chinatown. Let's talk about that. The mayor, the former mayor of Chinatown.
Actually, I was a deputy mayor.
Oh, deputy mayor. I promoted you.
Yeah, thanks for the promotion. Maybe it was next time around.
You're involved with the CCBA, which
That's
is?
correct, right. Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association. That is probably the oldest Chinese American organization in North America. And I was the deputy chairman of CCBA for 2 or 3 years. I don't remember. This is 10, 15 years ago. I had a great time. I learned a lot about the Chinatown groups and the organizations. And I also had the occasion to visit different Chinatowns. And each one of them was different. Each one of them has a different history.
So when you compare the Chinatown here in the Washington, D.C. area, which is relatively small
Right.
in comparison to the two biggest ones, really, on the two different coasts, what do you see are some of the differences?
Well, first of all, the food is a lot cheaper in the bigger Chinatowns. And two is in the bigger...
And my father would say a lot tastier, too.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And also cheaper, which is important as an accountant. But on the other hand, in the bigger Chinatowns in Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, people actually live there. Chinese people actually live there. If you go to Chinatown, Washington, D.C., very few Chinese actually live there.
That's an interesting thing.
And most people don't realize